Hey fellas, happy Homebrew Wednesday. Yeah, just a quick update. I was thinking leading into this, I should probably review my old ones before I cut new ones. Just because sometimes I think I repeat myself and say the same thing over and over again. But anyways, if I remember right, last week I think I just, I don't know what I did. But anyways, here's what I accomplished this week. I actually have three taps running for the first time ever in this one little mini fridge, believe it or not. I have two 5 gallon cornies up front, and then up on that little shelf, I have a 2.5 gallon in the back, and the two and a half, I have running to that tower tap, and then I have picnic taps on the other two. And I only have two gas lines, so I'm kind of rotating those as needed. One of my 5 gallon is the ESB clone, which is getting low. It was actually lower than I thought it would be when I pulled it out to move the kegs around. So that's kind of a bummer because that was a really good beer. And so I'm definitely going to be doing that one again in the future. But yeah, and so what I did, that one was fully pressurized, and the carbonation's been good. So I basically pulled the gas off of that, charged the other two up. Yeah, I put the other two in there for a while, let them get down to temperature, and then I charged them up. And I think I did this last week. I put them at I think 20 pounds of pressure, 30 pounds of pressure, and I left them for a couple days, which didn't work out. One of the things I don't do well is when it comes to carbonating. I think because the first time I kegged and I carbonated, I just winged it and it worked. And so I always think I can just wing it and it'll work. And the last few times I haven't got things right. So I put one's a stout and the other one is just kind of a trash pail beer. Just a whole bunch of, it was that, no, that, I think it was the SB I did where I didn't need any sparge water because just the way it worked out. And so I did do a sparge and had a really low gravity extra wort, and so I threw some liquid malt extract in there and brought it up and threw in some extra hops and did a quick boil and threw that in there. And so anyway, so it's just kind of I call them a trash pail ale, and so that's in the little one. And so I threw them on there, and then over the weekend I released the pressure. I didn't do any shaking at all, really. And so I just left them for like probably a day longer than I should have. And so I tapped them and they were coming out foam. And it wasn't like foam that one time I had that air leak or that gas leak in my beer line. And it was foaming up all the time, no matter what I did. This is just straight over carbonation. So basically what I did is I dropped it down a little bit. I'm just kind of trying to do a slow bring down the carbonation. Again, winging it. I know there's that technique where you run the gas line through the beer line, and that kind of degasses things, and that does work incredibly well. But I figured since I'm doing two kegs, and I really wasn't in a big hurry because the pipeline's full. I got three kegs going. So I figured, what the heck, I'll just kind of let them slow release. Yeah, and so basically I pulled I think I was starting on that trash pail one because I wanted to see how it tasted, and it was kind of funky. So I don't know if that was a mistake or not. At first, it's like, this isn't good. I might have to dump it. But then I let it sit. I took the gas off it, and I put the gas and I dropped it down to about like 8 pounds instead of 10. Put it back on my ESB and left it on the stout. And then, so I was drinking off of that trash pail. I let it sit. I think I let it sit for a day because it was just like Friday night or whatever. So I feel later on Saturday, I think I poured a glass and it was a lot better. So I don't know if I just got a lot of maybe there was just a lot of junk at the bottom of the keg from the racking it over, and I got some of that hops and yeast and whatever made it through that first pour. But it was a lot better. It's still kind of weird. I mean, it's different. It's got a kind of a, so I don't know, it's a thing to it, but it's not bad. I mean, it's just interesting, and it's only 2.5 gallons, so who cares, I'll drink it, and it'll be gone sooner anyway, sooner than later. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just kind of rotating the gas. I dropped the pressure, and so I just figured I'd let them come down. Excuse me. Okay, that was a sneeze. And I totally messed up my recording. So, yeah. So maybe this will be the first one I do any editing on. Um, yeah. Okay. So, anyways, I don't even remember what I was saying. It tasted funky, but after tasting it again, it wasn't that bad. So drinking that, stout turned out really good. It's overcarbonated, which the first keg I think I undercarbonated it, but with the stout that doesn't bother me at all. But I think it's really supposed to be that way. And so letting those come down. And I guess that's it with those. Lager still in the brew closet there. Probably time to pull that out for diacetyl. How do you say it? Diacetyl rest. Bring it out here to room temperature for a couple of days, and then I think then I'm definitely going to do I called it keg priming, or I don't know what I called it, but the whole idea of I think I'm going to rack it instead of to a secondary. I'm going to put it right to a keg, and then seal the keg up and throw it out in the garage because we're having another cold snap out here. We got snow. It's probably not going to stick around, but the temperatures have been pretty low out there, but not crazy cold, not below zero or anything Fahrenheit. And so yeah, I think that's my plan for this, is to basically lager it in the keg out in the garage. Then if just monitor the temperature, and if the temperature starts getting too warm out there, then I'll pull it in, and and go from there. So, because I did have, there was one year I had some, I don't think it was beer, it was just water I had in one of those, one of these blue plastic carboys water jugs, and I left that out in the garage, and it got crazy cold, and it actually froze the thing, and it split. So I had this big carboy shaped block of ice. And so I don't really want to throw this in a glass carboy and stick it out in the garage just in case. Like I said, I don't think it's going to get crazy cold anymore this year, but just in case. And plus, being in the garage, you never know when some kid's going to come through on their scooter or their bike or whatever and knock the thing off and bust it all over. So yeah, kegs. I'm going to put it in the keg, put it on the garage, let it lager out there until I can't wait any longer, and bring it in and charge it up and tap it. So I guess, okay, here we go. Here we'll do the YouTube thing. If you have a comment, how much pressure should I put it under? Because thinking that, I guess not knowing if the fermentation will be 100% done, it might build up some pressure during the lagering phase. My plan was to time the bubbles. Last time I did a lager, because I knew it was going to take so long, I figured I'd monitor it, and I actually had a little chart written out about how many seconds it was between glurgs, and so it got up around three minutes, and it stayed there a long time. And so my thinking was I was going to leave it down here until they were about 2 minutes apart, bring it up for the diacetyl rest. Then let that go just a few days or whatever, and then throw it in, then lager it. So thinking that it might build up some pressure while lagering. I probably shouldn't put it up to full pressure, but I definitely want to put it on a CO2, nice little CO2 layer in there. So yeah, I guess, what are your thoughts? Any idea on how much pressure I should put on this thing? Or should I just purge it, seal it up, not put hardly any pressure at all on it, and just let it do its thing? Let me know what you think. And so that's the plan for that beer. Let's see, what else? Is there anything else going on? I think that's it. Pretty good. And I guess now it's the time to play in the next brew. I try to keep a dark beer and a light beer, and then now that I got this trash pail, this little mini keg going, my plan is just to keep doing that experimentally. I got a couple of those little jugs I showed you last week. One's an ale, one's a lager. And I think I'm just going to, when the time comes, crack open that little one and dump them in and drink on that until I can't stand it anymore, and then pitch it. Here's an idea that I think is either brilliant or evil. And so you can comment on this too. I was thinking, if I get this trash pail thing going, and maybe I run out of experiments, maybe I'll do it until all these little experimental partial batches are done, and the summertime comes here, and people want a lawnmower beer, or like people who don't appreciate, you know what I mean, craft beer, want a beer. I was thinking of maybe just like buying a case of like Molson Canadian, or you know, even like Labatt's Blue, or you know, Bud Light or whatever. Just basically go to Sam's Club or Costco or whatever and find what I can get a 30 pack, you know, cheap, and just dump that on top of it. You know, so it'll have all the remaining flavor of what's left from the trash pail, and then just fill it up with like a generic, you know, Mega Brew beer. And if somebody wants a beer, then I'm like, you know, yeah, I don't really want to give them the good stuff. Here, have some of this, and chances are they'll like it. If they're like a Bud Light drinker, heck, they might think this is the greatest stuff ever. I don't know. Is that evil? Is that selfish? Maybe it is. Because you know, obviously the one of the biggest fun things about this hobby is sharing. But like I said, I know there's people that don't appreciate, you know, you make the stuff and you're like, oh, this is a great beer. And they're like, eh. And so, I don't know. It's just a thought to have a super light beer just for I don't know, just for the heck of it. I don't know. Maybe that's dumb. But comment below, like, dislike, whatever, if you can. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I'm enjoying doing these. I hope you guys like them enough to at least watch them once in a while. Have a good week. And I guess there's no real holidays coming up. St. Patrick's Day is coming up in a couple weeks. So, yeah, so there you go. Have a good one, guys. I'm going to sign off here. Okay, goodbye.